Oh boy. Well, I'm the prime sponsor of 1609, which was the bill a year ago to start us down the road to reforming the various pension plans that serve Arizona. This is something where, again, there's so much I could talk about here. We passed 1609, which, and here's our problem in Arizona. We have several major public employee pension funds. We have ASRS, which is the fund that most everybody who's a state employee is a participant in. Then we have PSPRS, which has within it, that's the public safety retirement piece, but then within that is the elected officials retirement plan, which includes, as part of that, the judges. And then finally we have CORP, which is the correctional officers retirement program. So we have this plethora of different plans that are in place. Our challenge simply is we are at a point right now where those funds are grossly underfunded. They are not currently sustainable. They will, if we do not do dramatic things, they will in fact result, frankly, either in bankruptcy or they could actually bring government to its knees. Here's an example. In the PSPRS program, on our current trajectory, within a few years, we will be looking at it requiring the government to contribute 45% of what they're paying in salaries to sustain the pension plans of their employees. Now, frankly, you're not going to get 45, when you realize that much of government is very, very heavily personnel driven, that's a major cost, the major cost of government generally, and you take that up to 45% to sustain it, that's impossible. That's going to collapse. So we passed 1609, which included some significant reforms. It increased contribution requirements. It impacted the COLA. Now, our challenge is we're being sued by, who aren't we being sued by? We're being sued by the judges, both retired and current sitting judges. We're being sued by law enforcement. Nobody wants to pay more and nobody wants fewer benefits. But those defined benefit plans are indeed on the road to perdition. They are going to fall. We cannot sustain them. And so then the question becomes, what do you do next? Well, my Senate Bill 1609, which obviously was a sponsor of, included, in addition to the substantial reforms, it also included the creation of a committee that we're looking at that. And one of the questions that before that group is, should we, for new employees, because we've got constitutional problems that impact what we can do for about existing employees or already retired people. But something that we are considering is to come forward with the creation of a defined contribution, the same thing most of us have. I don't know, I have a 401k and an IRA, and didn't have the 401k until a few years ago, and for all those years before that, just had an IRA. That's all I had. Probably much of you or many of you are in that same boat. So we're going to take a hard look at that. We actually, as a shot over the bow, late in the session, actually put up for a vote the closing of the elected officials retirement plan, EORP as it's called, and replacing it with the authority for the legislature to pass a defined contribution plan. That motion in the committee of the whole failed narrowly, and it was late in the session, and then I didn't fight hard for it. But since then, the retired judges have actually prevailed at the trial court level in their lawsuit, saying that we can't do anything about the COLAs, cost of living increases that they are receiving. The way that is designed is insane. They are picking up a 4% increase even as the actuarial soundness of the funding of the program was nosediving. over the last 5 or 6 years. That program, that fund went from over 100% funded to now down to 60% on an actuarial sound basis. It's not sustainable. So, it's an area that is going to require significant attention. It will not be politically popular because, I mean, you can imagine, I mean, I offered a floor amendment to end the retirement program for elected officials. And then that would have required a new plan in its place. Understand, we have the elected officials' retirement plan is extraordinary. You would all love to be in it. And if we had a salary greater than $24,000 a year, it would be a really big deal for legislators to be in it because you get 4% a year ultimately. So if you are in government service for 20 years like a judge, you're retiring at 80% of your salary with just 20 years of service. That's not too bad, especially when you're pulling down as a trial court judge in Maricopa County $145,000 a year, plus all the benefits you get. Well, a long answer to a very good question. Again, I apologize for it, but again, very passionate about pension reform. It is a place we have to go. We may very well have to go to the ballot with another constitutional amendment because in 1998, the voters, ill-advisedly in my opinion, passed a constitutional amendment in Arizona that really, really ties our hands. And it looks like we're not going to fare particularly well in all those lawsuits, although the sitting judge lawsuit is a bit of a challenge. They can't find anybody to sit to hear the case. The thing has been filed and it has been... I mean, who doesn't have a conflict of interest? Now, we have suggested that we at least just go directly to the Supreme Court and at least let the Supreme Court just decide it. Because it is all legal issue, there are no fact issues of consequence in the case. So we think it would best go straight to the Supreme Court and be heard at that level. But yeah, it's a challenge. You know, I mean, who has seen a case? I mean, you know about those things. A case that's been sitting for 6 months and hasn't been assigned a judge at the trial court level. It's like everybody's paralyzed as to what to do about it. So we'll see.